Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list is the continuation or part 2 of the top 10/20 notes that I picked up in 2021. Now, I had the idea at the same time my friend Chris Padrich suggested it to me. I was already pulling the notes and I hadn't said anything to anybody, and he dropped down this in one of the comments that I should do the top 10 notes from 2021 that I purchased. So, great minds think alike. I've got it. You've got it. These are going to be the top 10 notes I purchased for 2021. And there's some biggies in here. I had a good year between tax returns and poker and moving money around. I had some cash. And, sometimes having cash can be a dangerous thing. And, you'll see. All right, number 10 on the list. Not the most expensive note I have, but one of the coolest. I found this at a show. I've shown this note. It has its own video. I call it the Impossible Dollar. It's a $1 note. This particular one's from 2006. And you'll notice that the Federal Reserve is on the right instead of on the left. Now, if you spotted this, you may think, oh, that's an incredible error. And no, I disagree. Well, actually, it is incredible, as in not credible, because if you look just right, you can see this whole area is damaged, as if the seal was removed. I have the feeling that this was then put into a copier, and they had this seal printed on there. And I know that because this is part of the third print of the note. Now, the third print goes on at the same time this does, and these are on two different spots of the same plate, so there's no way they'd be that close together. The other thing is these 12s. You can see 3 of the 4 12s. The last 12 is actually right here. Those 12s and this seal are all printed at the same time. So you tell me how this seal got moved from this side to this side, and yet all the 12s are still in the same spot. It truly is impossible. So this is a doctored error, but a fascinating error. I know it's fake. I've told you guys it's fake. I've pointed out all the different ways it's fake, but it's still a cool note. Now, when you have a collection, that's the important thing to remember. The first thing is, do you buy a note? Why do you buy a note? You buy it because you think it's cool. If you don't think it's cool, why are you buying it? Does it matter what anybody else thinks of that note? No, it's your collection. You can put anything you want in your collection. It doesn't always have to be worth $1 million, and it doesn't even always have to be real, like this fake error. But that doesn't change the fact that I am very impressed by this note, and that's why I put it as one of the top 10 notes I purchased this year. Number 10, my Impossible Dollar. Number 9, I was at a show and I was going through a box of notes. The dealer just had books and books and books of coins, and then he had a bunch of paper money just thrown about in a box. So I went through the box and I happened to find this particular note, which is I was reading here, it's a 2008. I'm going, this isn't a 2008. It's a 1934C star note. The 2008 refers to the Freiburg number on the particular note. The 1934C, they had a wide face and they had a small face note. I can get into that some other time. But this particular one is the wide face, and it's a star note. So this note has multiple things going for it, and they did not have it priced very high at all. In fact, I'm sure that this was basically in their budget. How soon can we move this and get cash to buy real stuff boxes? So yeah, when you go through those budget bins, it's amazing what you can find. Now, I didn't have a $10 small size star note, and now I do, and I got it because the person was just looking to move some product. So yeah, take a little bit of time and go through those buckets of, well, I'm sure there's buckets of change as well, but when people just set out a small box full of random notes, take your time and go through it. Who knows what you'll find, and who knows how old that price is. So that is number 9 on my list. Number 8. Number 8 was one of the $100 bills I had on my list. You'll notice that this particular one, the 1928 Federal Reserve note, the $100 bill, right here, instead of having a letter, it's got a number. Now, the 1928 series used the numbers, and then as you get to some of the later series, that was changed to a letter. Some of them have, some of the denominations in the 1928A series will still have the number, but at a glance, most of them have a letter right here in this particular position. This particular one is from Atlanta, so that would have been an F, and you know that because in the serial number, it starts with F. F is the 6th letter. So this 6 corresponds with these 6s, which corresponds with the 6th letter. So all of that goes together just as an additional verification. So I did not have a 1928 $100 bill which had a number here. So I wanted to make sure to pick up one of these, and I found one graded. This particular one was graded a 40, extremely fine. I think it's pretty nice. It might be nicer than that. It does say ink on it, so let's see if where we can find that. Yeah, right here, it's got this little ink line right there. It's probably why the grade came out the way it did. But anyway, it was a note that I always wanted and I never had. I do have the smaller denominations, and I was always looking on the lookout for a 100, and I was able to knock that off of my list. So that's number 8. Number 7 on my list. To me, this is one of the coolest fractionals they ever made. This particular one, I want to say, is the 4th series 50-cent note. Now, this was produced right after Lincoln's assassination. So this is the first piece of currency that actually features Abraham Lincoln. During the Civil War, change was hard to come by. So the federal government hooked up with the post office, and they started printing fractional currency. The first version was actually known as postal currency, and soon became known as fractional. You can see this actually says fractional currency on it here, but this is the first note to feature Abraham Lincoln, and to me, that's a monumental piece of history right there and then, considering that this is within 5 years of his assassination. So that's an impressive note to have, and oddly enough, even though it's one of the more expensive fractionals, it's not one of the top 100 notes, which stuns me. You'd think that of all the notes that are on there, this one would be in the top 100. Yet it's not. Tough note to find, fairly expensive note. You're talking a few $100s for one of these. So I was proud to get it. Like I said, a note that should be in the top 100, but isn't. What would this be? 1869 50-cent fractional featuring Abraham Lincoln. That is number 7, 10987. Number 6. I couldn't believe I was able to score one of these this year. This is an 1869 $1 legal tender, and you're going to notice it's got all kinds of color on it. That is not a stain. In 1869, the legal tenders had this multicolored background and that made the series known as the Rainbow Notes. An 1869 $1 rainbow. This one's graded 25, very fine. And I was very, very pleased to score this particular note. I always wanted to get a rainbow. You can see it's got some staining on the back. To me, that's no big deal. I'm surprised at how hard the creases are, and the note's still being graded at 25. But once again, it's been graded at 25, so I can debate it all I want. It doesn't matter. That's what PMG said it was. So when I go to determine a value on this, I've got their opinion right there, 25 for the whole world to see. Now, when it comes to these rainbows, you don't see them in very good shape very often. If you're going to end up getting a rainbow, you want to pay up a little bit, because if you're going to pay for the rainbow, you want to at least be able to see that rainbow. So yeah, when it comes to getting one of these, you do have to pay a little extra. But that's my 1869 $1 rainbow, and that is number 5, 10, 9, 8, 7. Oh, that's number 6 on my list. Number 5. Number 5. This surprised me when I first got it. This is a Delaware Colonial Note from 1759. This is a 20 shillings note. Just blew my mind when I was able to discover what this actually is. So from 1759, this is colonial currency. This is from the colonies, okay? It's 20 shillings. You can do the conversion yourself to figure out what that would be. And if you look, it says, let's see, 3rd year of the reign of our sovereign lord, King George, dated the 1st day of, and then 759 on the bottom, 20 shillings. As impressive as all of that is, as impressive as it is that this note is from 1759, there is something that's slightly more impressive, and that's if I go to the back. On the back, you can see that they used imprints of leaves as an anti-counterfeiting measure. There we go. And if I turn it this way, what's more impressive is it says to counterfeit is death right here. And then you can see PRI, which is printed. And then you can see the ANKLI. ANKLI. That would be FRAN. Franklin. This was printed by Benjamin Franklin. Yes, that Benjamin Franklin. This Benjamin Franklin printed this note that I am holding in my hands. How incredible is that? At that point, it doesn't even matter what the note's worth. To hold a piece of history like this, to own a piece of history like this is so, so cool. Yeah, I had to have this. I got it for a great price as well. And yeah, I'm quite proud to own this little piece of history. 109,876, that's number 5. And that's the amazing part is, as cool as that is, it's only number 5 on my pickups for the year. Number 4, one of my early pickups for the year, a note I thought couldn't be had. It is a $10,000 gold certificate. This note was redeemed, and when they made it illegal to own gold certificates and gold coin in 1933, I want to say, all of these had to be redeemed. All of them were redeemed. If you look on the back, you can see that this had been redeemed. Now, these were redeemed, and then they were stored at the post office in Washington, D.C. In 1935, that post office caught fire, and somebody knew the significance of these notes, ran up to the 6th floor, and started throwing these out the window to save them. My particular note has water damage. My particular note has, you can look and see, it has smoke damage. This was part of the fire. Now, yeah, normally you want notes that are 65, 66, 67. For me, to get one of these that actually has fire damage is a little significant. It's more significant to me than it is to have a perfect note. This note's been through some stuff. And, well, it has. That's the thing. And I know the story of the stuff it's been through, which makes this an incredible find, and why this is number 4 on my list, my $10,000 gold certificate. That was flung out of a window of a burning building back in 1935. Number 3 on my list, a note that I never thought I would ever be able to afford. This is the $5 silver certificate from 1886. This one is in pretty rough shape. You can see somebody tried to clean it and most of the seal is gone there. It's actually been holed and patched, and I think they did a pretty good job patching it because I never noticed the hole until real close examination. This is why this is one of the most popular notes. It is the Morgan back. On the back of this $5 silver certificate is 5 silver dollars. You can see they are from 1886. The other significant part of this note is the fact that it is the first time In God We Trust was ever placed on currency. It wasn't done intentionally, but it's on the back of the coins. In God We Trust. So it's the first time that you actually ever see that phrase on our currency, just because they reproduced the coinage. Yeah, very proud to own one of these. Sure, it's not in the greatest of condition, but in the greatest of condition, it's a $30,000 to $40,000 note. I didn't pay that much for it. I've got one that's in decent shape, and I'm pretty proud of that. That's number 3 on the list. Number 2, I got a lazy Deuce. Deuce. It is graded 8. Lazy Deuce. This particular note is from 1865 is when they first started to be produced. In 1875 is when they started putting the charter numbers. Mine does not have a charter number on it, so it is older than 1875. So it's somewhere in the 1865, 1866 range. This is a national bank note. This particular one is from the American National Bank of Providence, Rhode Island. You can see Providence, Rhode Island there. Lazy Deuce, obviously the 2 is laying on its side like that. Very, very cool note to have. Very impressive note. And I can't say enough about it. The fact that I actually own a Lazy Deuce, I was very happy to score this particular note. And finally, number 1 on my list. Any guesses? What is the greatest note that I got this year? My poker chip. $10 1923 legal tender, graded very fine 20. Being graded 20, that's a very common grade, meaning that whenever you look in books, the grade of 20 is generally priced. This particular one prices out at like $3,000 in this particular grade. I did not pay anywhere near that for it. It's called the poker chip because of the back. You can see the circular with the rays, and of course the rays in the center. That kind of puts all this stuff together. Very, very cool note. Definitely the coolest note I have. Being a poker dealer, being a poker player, a note I had to get. So those are my top 10/20 notes of 2021. If you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. I love reading all your comments. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next week.